Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 74 of Ask the CEO with Abraham Gottheil. Today, I'd like to introduce a very special guest. He's an innovative and established executive with a high-impact career in conceptualizing, developing, and driving business strategies on behalf of dynamic enterprises. He is currently the Senior Vice President EMEA at NTT Security in Frankfurt, Germany, where he is responsible for both the business and the development of the go-to-market strategies for consulting and managed security areas, working with his team in various client projects across the region. Prior to joining NTT Security, he was Vice President Consulting Northern Europe at Oracle and a member of the country leadership team in Germany. Prior to that, he was Head of Professional Services Central Europe at Sun Microsystems, as well as co-owner of a consulting company focusing on Datacenter Services. He has nearly 25 years of experience in top management positions in the IT industry and is a frequent keynote speaker, covering topics around cybersecurity and the digital society. It is my pleasure to welcome the one and only Kai Grunwitz. Welcome, Kai.
Thanks a lot, Avram. I really appreciate it. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited to be speaking to you. So, Kai, two of my favorite topics, cybersecurity and artificial intelligence. And I love talking about that all the time. And the two of them always seem to be coming together. So AI is seen quite often as an important component in a cybersecurity strategy. What is your opinion on AI in cyber?
So first of all, with the AI or machine learning, a lot of people use it in a different way. So, machine learning and AI is not exactly the same. You have different ways how you handle that, what kind of algorithms, supervised and non-supervised, you use, have come into play massively in the last 2 or 3 years in cybersecurity. What does it mean? In fact, it can be a boon and a bane for both for cyber. What does it mean? On one hand side, artificial intelligence and machine learning will help us to detect threats much faster than we ever have been able to do manually, going through all the logs and try to find suspicious patterns and then react to that. So on the SOC side, and I'm sitting in our SOC right now at NTT in Munich, it helps a lot to detect threats earlier than ever before they impact the business. So we use a sophisticated algorithm to really do pattern recognition, behavioral analysis, or to match that with the standard we expect from the behavior of our clients, and that helps us a lot to be quite early in an attack cycle to detect the threats and fight it and defend our clients against that. So on one hand side, AI is really beneficial for cybersecurity to help protecting and identifying threats before they impact the business. On the other hand, we all know that the bad guys, they have access to the same tools and algorithms, etc. as well. So we see more and more nowadays a battle of the two components. The bad guys try to hide their attacks from algorithms trying to detect the attacks. So it's a machines fighting machines, and it's at the end who has the better algorithm and who is better in coding to succeed, either the guy defending or the guy attacking. So we have started 12 years ago in building our own artificial intelligence, and we called it at that time correlation engines and other before machine learning comes into play. And it's very sophisticated. We're pretty good to detect also events which are not connected not close together, but maybe happened 1 month here, 1 month there, and then we bring it together and to identify that this is really a start of an attack to mitigate early enough. So that's one area. The other thing I consider as relevant as well is if you look at all the targeted attacks today, the phishing attacks using social engineering and other things, if you prepare that as an attacker, it's pretty complicated and you need to spend a lot of time and prepare an attack. Using measures of machine intelligence, it's much faster. You can analyze data faster. You can prepare the attack in a very professional way, imitating the wording and even the wording of friends or whatever website you use to lure people into. So I have mixed feelings against that for AI. On one hand side, very beneficial for us, for our business. On the other hand, we have to be aware that the cyber criminals using machine learning and artificial intelligence as well to prepare professional attacks.
And this is why I'm so happy that you're coming on board to talk about this, because this just opens my eyes to what's actually out there. I mean, up until now, the thinking is that AI is a tool that the good guys use. That's something that we're using to help protect ourselves against some bad guys and, you know, living in some backward third world country, sitting in a cave with laptops trying to hack into our systems. But no, they're just as sophisticated as we are, which is pretty scary. And that's why, you know, just the awareness alone is really important to understand what we're facing.
Absolutely. And they are not only as sophisticated as we are, they're also highly professional. As cyber criminals, it's a profession with good margins, by the way. That's the reason why a lot of people do that. And the risk is still moderate if you consider what is the probability that you will be caught. So it's a risk-reward stuff here. And with a good margin, they can invest in new technologies and build services other criminals can use as well. So you also have now not only the cyber criminals using AI to prepare sophisticated and targeted attacks, they also sell their knowledge to other cyber criminals, maybe not as smart as the other ones, but still enables them to attack your company with attacks. So all the crimeware as a service around that is popping up all around the places and leveraging latest technologies. Whatever we have on the good side, as you said, they will have on the bad side as well. And maybe it's a kind of race. You know?
Even more, right? Exactly. It's like an arms race.
Exactly. So we have to find out who's better and who's faster with a specific threat or a specific defense tactics. So therefore, it's so important that we are always cautious about that. That it's not, we have a new super smart detection tool and we are safe. No, we are not, because the others will find other measures as well to attack you and find new ways to breach you. So therefore, we should be not overconfident with smart AI-driven threat detection tools. It will help us. It will simplify our life. The tier 1 and tier 2 stuff will go away, and we can focus with the cyber security experts on the really complicated ones. So the standard stuff will walk away. But that doesn't mean that AI will completely make cybersecurity work easy for us.
So by now, our listeners are sufficiently anxious and concerned. So let's focus our discussion on what we can do about it. All right. How do people protect themselves? So I noticed in my research about your company, NTT Security, that you're using some kind of a framework to secure digital transformation. What kind of framework are you using, and can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, I will try to do it very shortly because this is it's a long story, and a lot of people told me I love it too much and I talk too much about that. Importantly, as an introduction for me, it's a lot of people talk about the smart thing, the 100%, the AI-driven threat, cyber defense. But a lot of people forget their homework on their road towards this target on cybersecurity. That means they forget a couple of simple things: the patching, identity management, proper network segmentation, etc., etc. Digital rights management, data loss prevention, all the things I consider as core functionalities or core components of an integrated cybersecurity strategy. So when we started our journey a couple of years ago, and we said, okay, we need to put together a framework how we can benchmark our clients to use it as a heat map, and then identify the spots where to improve for a comprehensive cybersecurity program. We put our framework together, following the traditional approach. Yeah, we need the protection, the detection, response to phases as always, and but also we said in the protection we need to go from the silicon to the application. We have to cover the full stack. Still, most of the investments in cybersecurity still goes into infrastructure, firewalls, etc. It doesn't mean that we don't need it, but nowadays with the parameter disappearing more and more, the data is all around us. So we need to find different ways to protect our data nowadays. So we said our framework is about detecting the infrastructure layer, but also the application layer. We cannot talk about a business, protecting a business without protecting SAP, without protecting the cloud environment in a proper way. In our briefing, we briefly touched IoT. On the other hand, we have connected devices and sensors all around.
And so, all those devices are also security risks.
Yeah, they're a massive risk, especially if you see in some years ago, they have not even planned and prepared for patching. Let's put it that way. So what I see is that we have a lot of companies focusing on the infrastructure layer, all the stuff with advanced persistent threats, firewalls, next generation firewalls, all these things. For us, it's important on the protection that we also include the application, DevSecOps, and all the other things as well, because data is irrelevant. And some companies call it data is the new oil. And in fact, what the bad guys want to steal is the data. They are not interested in. They are not anymore the hackers hanging around with their hoodies and try to breach into a network just for fun. No, they want to steal your data. They want to have money for that, or they want to
hold you ransom.
Exactly, or that's another one. So therefore, protection end to end, and then a core for us is definitely the threat detection in our center of our framework, including vulnerability management and smart threat intelligence, because threat intelligence you can buy on the market. Our approach is that we have our own. We don't sell it as a product because the bad guys can buy it if you sell it in the market. And we use also third party as well, but for us, the difference data that we have our own IP around that and we don't sell that. It's just for service reasons all around there. And NTT, we see more than 40% of the global internet traffic, and we have our own honeypot networks. We have web crawlers. We have a global SOC infrastructure that helps us a lot to build own threat intelligence. And that's something we use there. And then, of course, you cannot forget the response side. You need incident response, you need search services, and all the other components around there. And some people told me once, hey, Kai, you always talk about protection, response, and all these things and detection. On the other hand, we still have the awareness side and the compliancy and governance side. So, of course, we cover that as well. Especially awareness is a key component nowadays. People say the people are the weakest link, and that's the truth.
Exactly. That's they're all social engineering attacks.
Exactly. And we see more and more of them. And no one can say I'm completely secure. It will never hit me. We all have to be aware that it can hit you, because if you're not careful, if you don't act in a prudent way, it can hit you. So for us, awareness is a starting point, and all the policies around that, security policies, GDPR from the data privacy side, which is big in Europe, as you know, we cannot ignore that. All the things are coming on the left-hand side as well. So for me, the end-to-end cycle, end-to-end cyber resilience is a key for us, and we always work with our clients to get a maturity level in all relevant areas for their specific risk profile, because it's also not one fits all. I see a lot of companies trying to do just what the others did. That doesn't work. You first need to understand what is your risk profile, and then tailor a security program that works for you.
You mean, so you can't just go and buy an off-the-shelf product and plug it into your infrastructure?
That's a good point. No. And if you see how many companies have sold recently GDPR solutions.
Shrink wrapped.
Yeah. So it's not possible. For me, also a lot of the things that happens, we need products. But to build a security strategy, a product alone is not good enough. So for us, it's always understand the risk profile, define the exposure the company has, identify the gaps, build a proper strategy, and that from protection, detection, and response across the full cycle. And then you can work with the clients on a proper solution. And for us, the starting point is always understanding what is the as-is status, because a lot of companies don't know how exposed they are. And maybe large-scale enterprises are in better shape than small and medium enterprise clients, because they have let's say, more cybersecurity internal resources than the others. They can invest more in this area, but all face the same challenges.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you bring up a good point. So with regards to digital transformation, you find a lot of businesses focus on the end result. What are the functions they're going to get out of the digital transformation, but not necessarily how is it going to be secure from the get-go. Are you still seeing that out there? Is that the case? And why is the relevance to cybersecurity as part of a successful digital transformation project still underestimated?
Yeah, so that's a very good point. In fact, the digital transformation is not optional nowadays. It's a do or die question. You see a lot of companies have disappeared already in the last years because they have failed to adapt to the change in business dynamics you see in the market. And there are studies from the IMD in Switzerland, for example, they say 4 out of 10 companies currently leading in their sectors will disappear in the next 5 years. So the digital transformation is a mandatory thing for the companies. However, the transformation is not as fast as necessary for some of them because they're concerned about cybersecurity. And they wonder, what does it mean for my business if I open up to new channels, if I change the way I produce, sell, etc. Let's make a simple example. We all love cars. I'm from Germany. I have to love cars. So the automotive industry is transforming massively in the way how we drive. The combustion is changing, and also we have the way how we sell and use a car. Let's say in the past you bought a car, now you have car sharing, etc., etc. On the other hand, you drove a car, now we move into autonomous drive. We move from a traditional combustion to electric cars, etc.
And soon it's going to move from land-based to air-based.
Exactly. So we have a lot of changes at the moment, and the industry has to react there. But in the transformation, now think about the automotive industry. If the car is not secure, and we all saw the recent accidents with Uber, etc., and others where autonomous cars had an accident or have been hacked and breached, etc. This is not building trust. It's not building confidence, and of the buyers like me. So we all are human beings. So we want to have a secure car. Whatever it is, if it's electric, if it's autonomous, whatever, it has to be secure. That means cybersecurity has to be from day one part of the development of the new solutions or new products. Companies have to do a DevSecOps approach, security by design approach, and it's not acceptable to develop only functions and then find out security has to come later, because think about the impact if you have to call back cars because of security issues.
And that's something that up until now they didn't have to deal with, but that's the new reality today.
Exactly. And you have to see, well, will it do to your brand, your reputation, all the and the potential pipeline you have already built for your cars. So having said that, security is an integrated part of the digital transformation. And a lot of companies have noticed that meanwhile. I think it has improved. I see especially the large-scale companies putting a lot of effort in getting cybersecurity included in the transformation projects. The CISOs or chief digital officers use security quite often already early in the stages to be part of the development and R&D cycles. So we work with a lot of companies early on to help them to define a secure environment for their future business model. However, it's still a lot of companies who they start, as you mentioned, from functionality and then find out, oh, we have to go back to the drawing board because we forgot a key component, which is cybersecurity. And this is something that changed step by step. We see we're improving, and we get more and more involved in projects where clients ask us, please help us with our transformation and help us with the cybersecurity expertise to do that. And that means, again, to move away from infrastructure security to application and data security. A car is a connected device. And you have so many components you have to secure in that process. Interesting topic, and can be a separate session by itself.
Sure. For sure. We'll have
You
to
know,
have a sequel on that.
yeah, absolutely. I can bring a colleague with me who's dedicated cybersecurity, not in a negative sense, nerd for connected cars. So he knows everything about the enterprise control units and the different components and how to secure what. So that's an interesting discussion, I can tell you.
That would be fascinating for sure. So Kai, on a related subject, AT&T released a report stating that 25% of businesses would rather spend their security budget on insurance. I mean, we're finding companies are willing to pay a ransom rather than increase their security budgets to actually secure their environments. What is the challenge for digital transformation in this context?
Yeah. I think the AT&T findings are completely in line with the NTT Security Global Risk Value Report, where we found out that the companies, as it was quoted, are ready to pay ransom instead of investing in a cybersecurity strategy, because they still think they are not impacted by the attacks. There is still a kind of, okay, it will not hit me, it will hit somewhere else.
I'm too small.
Yeah, I'm too small, not relevant. I was in a company. I was together with a company, and they told me we no one will attack us. We are a mid-sized company. We just produce steel, and that's not interesting for attackers. I said, okay, but what kind of steel you produce? And they have a special steel which helps a lot in bending, is easier, and the no corrosion, etc. So something special. And they said, yeah, but as we talk, when I was at a booth in China, and after we returned, we had a lot of attacks, more activities on our firewalls. I said, okay, and you think you're not relevant?
Because they just found out about them. That's
exactly. Why. So reality is, if you have something specific, you're relevant. And ransom, which was a big theme last year, and you saw how much it has increased year over year. I think we saw more ransomware attacks in Europe, at least, than ever before in the last year. And most of them have created a kind of awareness. And therefore, the finding you just told us is very surprising for me, because it demonstrated that people read that and put it away next day instead of responding and working on a proper strategy. So for me, the digital transformation without security, as I said before, is impossible. And a company who is not security aware will, from my perspective, fail in the future. And the budgets are not going up, definitely not at the moment. They are more flat. And ransomware is a kind of risk evaluation. Will it hit me? Will it not hit me? And a lot of people think that if they invest the money in functionality instead of cyber, they can move faster with their digital transformation. I think that's a pitfall we will see a lot of companies fall into, because they will not invest in cyber. They will try to move fast and then find out that the security killed them at the end, because they will lose reputation or whatever due to a cyber attack, or because they have to pay ransom and cannot produce anymore. And ransom, we have just seen a small part of the ransomware attack so far. Think about, let's say, an airport. If you breach that, and all the belts, conveyor belts or whatever it's called in English, are hijacked and pay ransom, or we will shut it down. Come on, an airport like New York or Frankfurt, London, Tokyo, impossible. So we have just seen a little bit of the ransomware attacks, and I think we will see far more in the future, with even more targeted on critical systems. If it's an airport, if it's an electric power plant, whatever.
And you bring up a good point, because if it's just ransom, yeah, then you can roll the dice, but there's a whole lot more damage they can do than just ransom. They can post all your customer contact information to the dark web, and now what? Now you've lost trust.
Yeah, absolutely. And or even worse, your
WikiLeaks.
Your employee data. Your employees will never forgive you.
Yeah.
And so it's I think sabotage, stealing data, data leakage, all this stuff you have to prepare, and the companies have to invest in solutions to avoid data leakage, especially. And I mentioned before the doing your homework. I see still a lot of companies not ready and not well prepared for data loss. They're still in a position that they don't have proper encryption and other things in place, so that no one can work with their data. And this is like the other point is the privileged users. You have a lot of privileged users in admins here and there. How to protect that? This is homework.
Without two-factor authentication is the master key. And
no proper documentation. Who is doing what? Because all use the same username, admin, and the same password.
Admin. Yeah.
Admin. So and then think about it. If you have some compliance and you have to document who has done what in your network in a proper way. Think about in the financial areas, the BaFin compliance. You need to document who has done what on your systems. So you have not only security, you have also compliance issues if you don't do your homework in a proper way. For me, the homework is the foundation of everything, and that's the reason why we have the homework in our framework also so prominently displayed.
Now, you bring up a really good point. All these tasks require a sufficient number of skilled resources. Right now, AI. We talk about AI, how AI is changing everything about our lives. It's changing our work, our business, how we find jobs. But yet, we find that at the same time, there are skill shortages. I read a report recently that 68% of cybersecurity experts in North America are stating that they lack professionals on their team. Do you think that in 10 years from now, we'll be having hordes of security experts out there looking for jobs? What will be the role of AI in cybersecurity?
We'll definitely see the job profiles changing. As I mentioned before, the standard task will go away from the people. But we will not see hordes of people sitting around and having no jobs, because the profile will change. With this higher sophisticated attacks will require still human enrichment and involvement to handle it, and also to prepare the defense, the line of defense. So I think we will see more repetitive work going away, and more higher qualified cybersecurity experts, threat hunters, and whatever will be required in the future as well. On the other hand, I think this is a broader topic around AI, because a lot of people are concerned about the future of their work, of their jobs, and how AI will impact that. And I think we are in a situation where we will see in 10 years, 20 years from now, maybe we need less coders, maybe because machines can do it better. Maybe we need less level 1 and 2 SOC operators in our area. But we definitely will see a switch in the society towards more jobs which take care about people, because no one takes care about people, because it's today everybody wants to be good coder because you earn a lot of money. You want to be a cybersecurity expert, an IA expert, etc. These are the hot areas. But think about the society. Who is doing all the fundamental and important work we need as a society to survive? So, and that's something that troubles me more than the cybersecurity market, in fact, because we will see high qualified job profiles still be around in the future. They will be completely different. But who's preparing today's society of the challenges of tomorrow? How we adopt our education system, how we build meaningful education systems that prepare the people for the jobs of the future. I have 3 daughters, so therefore I think a lot about how to build skills, how to develop skills, and I see a lot of actions on our side on education systems, in politics, etc., to prepare that and to prepare us for the future. So in cybersecurity, I'm not concerned. For our society, we have a long way to go to prepare us over there.
And you bring up a really good point. We need to think about that next generation, because technology is just going to keep innovating faster and faster, and those jobs are going to be changing faster and faster.
And also, if you go to and it changed already now pretty fast. This is a sidestep. If you go, I'm a big rock music fan. I was on a rock concert recently with my daughter.
You've got AI composing rock music now.
Yeah, drawing pictures, fantastic. But if you're on a real concert, you see all the young people with their smartphones videoing all the concert instead of enjoying the music.
Yes.
It's a generation, it changed already massively. So we have to prepare them for the future. And they're ready for that. We should not underestimate it. They're already living in the digital age. And I'm a little bit I try to keep up with them because that's a challenge for us. So therefore, I think we need to prepare them for the future. We need to prepare them for the jobs of the future. And that's the same in cyber. We have already now, you must start now already to retrain people, develop new skills, to replace things that can be done much smarter by a machine in the future. So that's a challenge for us. Skill development, training, preparation.
Well, let's talk about another future topic, and that is smart cities. In the future, everybody's going to be living in smart cities, right? The cities will be smart. And when talking about smart cities, a lot of conversations around IoT, data, and energy efficiency come up. What do we need to do to prepare ourselves to truly leverage the advantage of living in a digital society?
Wow, that's a 2-hour session now. So first of all, you touched one important thing, which is very important for me. Beside data privacy, and make sure that the data will be not breached and stolen by bad guys, is the energy point will be a challenge for us. Looking at the volume of data we're already handling today, then add blockchain, Bitcoin, etc. We need a lot of energy to survive in the future. So we need a sustainable program and model for that. And also in a smart city, for me, a smart city should make the life of the people better. So we need to define, not from a technology perspective, but from the benefit of the society or from the city, again, what does it mean for the people? So for me, we need a concept which is not driven by technology, but driven by a purpose, what we want to achieve with a smart city. And of course, I have to say that it has to be secure. You mentioned the sensors all around the places. They're not always secure. And sometimes people operate sensors and they know nothing about cybersecurity, which is shocking. So I think here the challenge is really to have a proper strategy for a smart city, what we want to achieve for the benefit for the inhabitants. That's the key. What is the benefit? Because I talked to a lot of people and said, all this smart discussion, the digital discussion, what does it mean for me? I don't understand that. So I think here we have to move one step back from technology and create something meaningful for the people. And that's what first strikes me, because then we can discuss technology. But first we have to define what we want to achieve.
And I think this is a useful strategy for any business model, not just smart cities.
You're right. But in smart city and all the smart discussions, we always come from the technology side. Always. We see what is possible.
And we try to shoehorn it into a use case.
Exactly. And again, like with the AI, you mentioned that before, you can always use the technology for the good and the bad. And I think we really need to make sure that we use technology for the good and not for the bad, and work together hand in hand across the world to make it in a secure. And that means as well AI, smart cities, connected societies, connected countries, because we're all connected.
Pretty soon there won't be any boundaries. That's right.
Yeah, let's see. We're moving backwards and forwards with the political landscape, but. I think we have been one step further already some years ago, but now we're walking backwards. But that's my personal opinion, and we don't want to drift away to the political discussion.
Yeah, exactly. So let's shift back to what we talked about earlier about companies, especially smaller companies, having greater challenges in the area of cybersecurity. And one of the things that are really helpful to small businesses are managed service providers, because they're large companies and they possess the capabilities to secure their infrastructure on a much larger scale than any small company possibly can. Is a managed service provider a solution for all their cyber challenges?
I think it's a valid solution because especially small or medium enterprises, they don't have the resources, as we said before, internally to build up a technology layer, and they don't have enough people to respond to threats. And even worse, they don't have the knowledge to build a proper threat intelligence. As I mentioned before, they can buy it from the market, but that's okay. It's not always so independent and so new that the bad guys don't know about that. So therefore, they have a technology challenge, they have a process challenge, and that they have a people challenge. So I think managed security service providers can offer a lot for the small and medium enterprises, especially sometimes in combination if the service is delivered locally, because sometimes you have regulations not allowing to store data somewhere else, etc., or out of country. You can bring this together. So I think the managed service provider is beneficial because most of the time the companies do not have enough dedicated security people to handle the day-to-day security business. And they do all this stuff in parallel, patching as well, managing the network, etc., etc. So therefore, I think it can be a solution. Is it the only weapon? No, they have to work on a strategy in general, but on the operational level, a managed security service provider can help that.
Great. We have a few questions from the audience.
Sure.
Dr. Johannes Druchach, the CEO of Spearhead Management in Germany, and also a former guest on Ask the CEO. So just a little plug for JD, episode 68. So he has 3 questions. The first question is, what is your advice and best practice experience to engage employees in proactive cyber resilience?
It's a quick challenge for most of the companies. I recently started with a new approach here because quite often we see security awareness and acting in a secure way is quite challenging for a lot of employees because they have their day-to-day job and it has nothing to do with cybersecurity. How to engage these people? I think a good way to do that is combining security awareness programs with gamification approaches to have a consistent learning and experience and motivation for them to be ranked very high as a cybersecurity employee of the month or whatever, and in a kind of ranking to bring that together. Because most of the time companies do a test and awareness program once a year, which is not good enough. Honestly, the people click through the tests and then done and forgotten forever. So I think a continuous program is much more important. If you combine that with the structured and meaningful ethical hacking or pen testing approach to demonstrate how easy it is to get into the network and that they all are the first line of defense, and then combine it with gamification, this could really get the people in a proactive mode instead of waiting for a breach. So that's what I would currently focusing a lot with my clients.
Our next question is, do you believe that cybersecurity insurance is important for SMEs?
It can be an important component. The challenge will be, are they ready? Again, are they ready? If they don't have done their homework, if they don't have an incident response plan ready, that's what these insurance companies will ask for. Has it been tested? Do you have a proper patching strategy, an updating strategy, that you're always at the latest versions, etc.? They have a couple of checkpoints. Can you detect threats before they happen? And if the answer is yes, no, 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 it's not very likely that they will be awarded with the insurance police at the end. So that means it can be important, but it will not free them up from doing their own cybersecurity work. I think more and more the insurance companies prepare for the small and medium enterprises as well as for the large-scale enterprises, and there are various of offerings out there. But you always have to document that you have at least a minimum cybersecurity maturity before they will really take you on board. And therefore, yes, it can be an important cornerstone, especially if you combine it with an MSSP, a cyber insurance, and then do the basic stuff, prepare that, and then it can work also for SMEs.
It's really all about having that complete, comprehensive package of preparedness as well as tools and insurance.
Absolutely. It's always the three components, and people would be nice as well, but we touched on that challenge already.
So our next question from JD, this is a tough one. AppSec or InfoSec?
It's not an or, it's an and. Yeah, I mentioned my framework before. For me, application security is nowadays the key, and you have to do the InfoSec. It's a foundation. But without AppSec in the future, you will be lost. You will not make your digital transformation a success.
Great. Kai, where do people go to get more of you?
They can find me, of course, on Twitter, LinkedIn. They can find me also on my company website. So I think I'm all around there. So they can contact me as we did through Twitter, which works very well for both of us, I think, to build a connection and start a conversation. But I'm open for all ways of coming in contact with people.
Awesome. And I'll post your contact information to the show notes so they can just click on that and get right to you. Absolutely.
And you can also share my email address. That's not secret. It's a official email address.
Just want to make sure, we're talking to a cybersecurity expert, so don't want to give out too much info.
No. Don't use my mobile number, but the email is fine. Okay.
That's another topic. We could have a whole episode on that, and that is SIM hacking.
Yeah.
But we'll come back for a sequel.
SIM hacking. Oh well, a lot of stuff over there. No, but it's I'm pretty open to be contacted through the social media, which is for me at the moment a key go-to-market route as well.
Great, Kai. Do you have any parting words of wisdom to share with the audience?
So first of all, do your homework, as I said before. Don't be too scared. If you prepare, you can still use all the advantages of the new digital age without being too scared. And the last thing of wisdom is AI is not the holy grail of cybersecurity.
That's a wonderful way to wrap up this episode. Kai, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom. I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed the conversation, and hopefully we'll have another great session very soon on specific topics. Thanks a lot for your time.